Hey everybody, I'm going to show you a couple of things in this video, including using the quick selection tool to make a selection, invert that selection to delete what you don't want, then apply a layer mask to a selection so that you can use the brush tool to refine your selection even more, to refine the edges. And then I'm going to compress all of that into a PNG, which is a portable networks graphic, and open that in Photoshop and copy and paste into another document. Sounds like a lot, but it actually moves pretty quickly once you get going. All right, so I have this adorable kitten. First thing I'm going to do is unlock my background layer, which I've mentioned in other materials, but if you go to use your quick selection tool, if I start selecting this kitten and I don't have my background layer unlocked, nothing's going to happen, and that's usually when students are like, I selected everything but it's not letting me copy paste, and it's because that background layer is locked. So I'm going to adjust my refine my selection a little bit with this cat. I'm not getting too picky with the layers or the hairs, because there are a lot of fuzzy hair sticking out from this, but Photoshop, again, using this tool, is just going to sort of guess the pixels around the image. I selected too much, so now I have to deselect. Click and drag. So you'll find that using this tool, it's not perfect. A lot of the time, like zooming in and zooming out helps, especially when you're working with like really small areas. I'm going to adjust my brush size using the right bracket key so that I have a larger brush, and if I need to decrease, I use the left bracket, left, right. Okay, so I have a selection here. Now, what I'm going to do, rather than go through and select everything and realize that I've selected the wrong thing, what I can do is go up to the Select menu, choose Inverse, which is going to select the area around where I drew out my selection, and then I can just hit Delete, and it's gone. Magic. All right, Command D, deselect. And you'll notice that my cat head looks a little choppy, just in terms of like the edge. It looks very solid, and it just looks like something that's been cut out, almost as if it's been cut out of a magazine and pasted somewhere, and that's not what I want. So what I'm going to do is apply a layer mask to this layer. You'll see that the layer mask is selected because it has these white borders around it, and that's what I want. You don't want to be working directly on the cat. You want to be working on the layer mask, and the layer mask, it goes on top of your layer. And what you can do is use your brush tool, which is also or if you use B, that's your keyboard shortcut, and you'll notice up here in your control panel that you have these different options that you can explore: opacity, flow, how much quote unquote paint is coming out of the brush, the type of brush, the mode in terms of the application of the quote unquote paint. And you'll also notice that I have black as my foreground color here and white as my background, and that's important to see. So as you can see that I can sort of paint along this edge, and I think what I'll do is use a bigger brush so that I don't have to paint as solidly along the edge. And it's just going to kind of aid in the texture of the cat, like make that edge a little fuzzier. Okay, and I can play with, opacity. Maybe I'll decrease my opacity, see what happens. Now, if I make a mistake, like let's say I go way too far in, what I can do is switch my foreground and background, put white in my foreground, and then I can paint back over. And I would adjust my opacity here because, you know, I want all of that cat to come back. Okay. So there's always room to kind of fix whatever problems you might run into. Okay. So this just softens my edges, also known as feathering your edges. Makes things look a little better, a little tidier. Okay. So my kitten's looking pretty good. There we go. And also, if you want to see your brushwork, you can hit the backslash key, which is above your enter key. So I can even go back in and kind of make adjustments as I've painted if I need to. And then to get rid of that view, you just hit the backslash key again. Okay. So I'm going to save this as a PNG, a portable networks graphic, which is going to compress the layer mask to the image and apply that that editing that I just did with the brush. So I'll just call this kitten. I'm going to save it directly to my desktop. Say OK. There we go. I would also save my PSD so that I have it if I need it. And then I have this other image open, which again I'm going to unlock my background. And I'm going to find my kitten. There it is. Right click, open with Photoshop. There she is. I'm just going to crop her a little bit. Get rid of that extra transparent area that I don't need. Hit enter. And I'm going to do Command A, Command C, go back to my sloth, Command V, and wow, way too big. So I'll do Command T, transform, hold down Option, move my there we go. And I'm going for a sort of like sloth kitten hybrid. So I'm going to keep adjusting, say use Option to constrain the proportions. And you can use your arrow keys too to kind of shift things as you need to. And then press enter to apply the transformation. And there you have it. And you see, because I softened my edges a bit, it just doesn't look as cut and pasted as, you know, it is. It still looks odd because we know that, you know, kittens and sloths don't exist as a hybrid. But there you have it, a couple of different techniques in terms of collaging and utilizing